I'm very thankful for Ben's presentation today, because he really sort of tied this together very, very nicely. But if you think about your students and think about the techniques that he talked about, you really can understand how there's just a whole wealth of benefit to using video, to using visuals, to using these tools, because it does help foster a more creative learning environment in our classrooms. Weaker students feel that they have the support from the visuals that they need, and the stronger students get the challenge that they need to engage with the material at a higher level. So you really are covering the whole range in your classroom. Earlier in his talk, Ben mentioned, some of the way video used to be used in the language classroom, and that sort of gave rise to some criticism in the past that it's too much trouble to use them in class. It's only a glorified comprehension exercise. It's only used as a stimulus for something else. It strays too far from the lesson plan. They're not authentic. They're not relevant to my students' lives. These are all criticisms and sort of digs Ben had alluded to earlier. But think about what video can do. What if they were easy to access in a number of different delivery modes? What if they sparked true curiosity in your students, and not only your students, but you as well, so that you engage with the material just as much as your students do? What if they were relevant to your students' lives and created a true desire to learn more about the topic? What if they inspired your students to pursue related projects or encourage them to explore language through their own videos, as Ben laid out for us in his presentation? And finally, what if these videos took your students on a journey to the four corners of the world? Think about what that can look like in your classroom. So when we talk about learner engagement, it's important to remember that learner engagement is it's not merely grabbing students' interest, although that's important. And it's not about just entertaining students for entertainment's sake. But what it really relates to is what Ben said earlier about this idea of visual literacy. And you've heard of this term before, right? Visual literacy is a term that many educators use to describe the sort of higher level of skills. How do we interpret and evaluate visual information? Because if you think about it, and Ben mentioned this earlier, our kids have grown up inundated with visual information, but they don't necessarily they haven't been necessarily prepared to evaluate what is good visual information, what is not so good visual information. So as teachers, we have to sort of prepare that scaffolding for them. But it's also important when you think about how much visual information is coming in, we need to be able to employ that in a language acquisition environment. So when we think of learner engagement, we're really thinking about our long-term goals of what we want students to be able to do by the time they leave our classroom. Is anyone else like burning up in here? It's like really. No? It's only because I came here from New York, where it's 15 below zero, and it feels, it feels like I'm in a sauna up here. But anyway, so I'll just don't worry. I'm not having a heart attack. I won't have this.
Come back in August.
Yes, it was coffee. But anyway, this is what I do. This is when I get wound up. I just like it. But anyway, we're talking about visual literacy and how that how that's ultimately the goal of what we want to do with video. So when you think about what video can be in the classroom, imagine this.
Uncover a whole new world of English. A world where learning English is an engaging, enriching, and motivating journey for your class to the four corners of the earth. From Australia to Alaska and China. to Venice and beyond. Uncover combines high-interest videos from Discovery Education with the trusted approach you expect from Cambridge University Press. With Uncover, students will explore different cultures and places from around the world, as they develop language ability as well as visual literacy. In addition, with the Cambridge Learning Management System, your students will have all the learning support they need, including interactive online practice, online workbooks, and e-books. There is even a free online professional development program for teachers to help you get the most out of the course. To uncover a more engaging way of teaching and learning English, contact your local Cambridge English representative today.
And they're floating around the room, those Cambridge English representatives. So, looks pretty good, right? Want to learn more? Yes. Yeah? Okay, let's do it. Okay, so Uncover is a 4-level course. It's actually eminently customizable. It's the basic core